Hello everybody and welcome back for my continuation of my book reading of Stephen King's Misery. I'm at chapter 21, which is called Annie's Plan. You must think I am in a really bad mood, Annie said. I wish you would relax, Paul. I'm not going to give you an injection. I'm leaving the syringe here with you because it's damp down here, and your legs might quite ache badly before I get back. But now we have to talk. She settles down and told him her plan. She was drinking constantly from a plastic bottle of Pepsi Cola. She explained that she needed a lot of sugar at the moment. Listen to me. We're going to be alright if it gets dark before anyone comes to check on that policeman. It'll be dark in about an hour and a half. If someone comes sooner, there's this, she said. She reached into her bag and pulled out the policeman's gun. First, I kill whoever comes, then you, then me. Once it was dark, she said she was going to drive the police car up to her laughing place, with her husband's old motorbike in the back. She could hide the cop car there and it wouldn't be found for months. I'll take you with me, because you've shown that you could be a real nuisance, she said. But I couldn't bring you back on the bike. It'll be hard enough driving on those mountain paths by myself. I might fall off and break my neck. She laughed at her joke, but Paul said, and then what would happen to me? Don't worry so much, Paul. You'll be fine, she replied. But he knew he wouldn't. He would die like a dog down here in the damn basement and make a meal for the rats. There was a crack lock on the cellar door by now, and the stairs were steep anyway. There was a tiny window high up on one wall, but they were covered in dirt. So I'm going to put him in his car and take him up to my laughing place and bury him there. Him and his, his bits in the wood. Paul said nothing. He just remembered the cows complaining from the barn and then becoming silent. Annie had left him to die, and he hoped she wasn't going to forget him too. I just hope nobody comes to the house while I'm away. I don't think they'll hear you down here, even if they came right up to the house. But I'm going to put a chain across the gate from the road and hang a note on the chain saying that I'll be gone for a few days. That might stop them from coming up to the house. Annie was not taking any chances, Paul realized. He was playing Can You in real life, while he could only play it when he was writing books. I should be back by midday tomorrow, she continued. I don't expect the police will come before then. They will come, of course, I know that, but I don't think they'll come asking questions before then. They'll just drive along the roads looking for his car. So, if I'm back by midday, I'll have you back in the room before they come. I'll even let you watch me talk to them, if you promise to be good. I say them because I think two of them will come, don't you? Paul agreed. But I can handle two, if I need to. He patted the handbag, which held the policeman's gun. I want you to remember that young man's gun while you watch me talk to them. Paul, I want you to remember that it's going to be in here all the time. I'm talking to them whenever they come, tomorrow or the day after, or whenever. You can see them. But if they see you, either by accident or because you do something stupid like you did today, if that happens, I'm going to take the gun out of the bag and start shooting. And remember, you're already responsible for one policeman's death. Nonsense, said Paul, knowing that she would hurt him for saying it. But she didn't. He just smiled her calm, mother knows best smile. Maybe you don't care for them, Paul. Maybe you don't care if you kill two more people. But if I have to kill those two policemen, I'll have to kill you and me as well. And I think you still care for yourself. Not really, Annie, Paul said. I don't really mind leaving this life anymore. Oh yes, I've heard that before, she said. But as soon as you switch off their medical equipment or pick up the pillow to put on their faces, then they struggle and try to cry out. But you never let that stop you, did you, Annie? Anyway, I just want to tell you, she said, if you really don't care, then when they come, you can shout to them. When they come, I'll meet them, and they'll ask me about a young policeman. Yes, I'll say, he was here yesterday. He showed me a picture of Paul Sheldon. I told him I hadn't seen him, and then he went away. They'll be surprised. How can you be sure that you've never seen Paul Sheldon? They'll ask. He disappeared last winter. I'll tell them that Paul Sheldon is my favorite author, so I'll remember seeing him. I have to say that, Paul. Do you remember? He remembered. He remembered a photograph in her album. In that picture, the picture Annie was sitting in prison while she was waiting for the jury to return to court and pronounce her guilty or innocent. Under the picture was written, miserable. Miserable? Not the dragon lady. Annie sits quietly and reads while she waits for the jury. And in the picture, Annie was holding up her book so that everyone could see she was reading the latest misery novel. So Annie went on. I'll say that the young policeman wrote all this down in his book and said thank you. I'll say that I invited him in for a cup of coffee. He refused, but he accepted a bottle of cold Pepsi because the day was so hot. He held up an empty bottle of Pepsi. I'm going to stop and throw this in a ditch 3 or 4 kilometers up the road, he said. But first, I'll put his fingers all over it, of course. She smiled at him, a dry smile, with no humor in it. They'll find a bottle, and then they'll know that he went past my house. Or they'll think they know, which is just as good, isn't it? They'll search for him for a while, but then they'll come back. Oh yes, they'll come back because I'm the dragon lady. I'm the only crazy one in this area. So they'll come back, and they'll come into the house this time, but they'll believe me at first. That's the point. So we'll have some time, maybe as much as a week. She looked at him coolly. You're going to have to ride faster, Paul. And that was the end of chapter 21, Annie's plan. Chapter 22 will be called A Sudden Idea. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.